this time I'm going to look at posture and ways of relaxing, opening up, rebalancing your neck, your shoulders and your upper back. So let's start with looking at posture. Posture is something that we all talk about, we all think about a lot, but it's, I think, really useful to understand how it actually works. So there are really three components to good posture. First of all, you have the bones, and in particular here we're thinking about the spine. So you have all your vertebrae, individual bones, which stack on top of each other. And they're held in place, stopped from moving out of line side to side and forward and backwards, by the ligaments, which run either side and actually attach into the bones. And then the bones are moved, like the joints, to allow the joints to move, by the muscles. So it's really important that all three of these components are working as they should work. Very often with posture, it's tightness in the muscles, which is caused by the things that we're doing day to day, carrying things that are too heavy, lifting things that are heavy, sitting at our desk very hunched up, maybe an old injury where, you know, you've played tennis or you've fallen on something, that sort of thing. And that can cause damage and strain and tension within the muscles. So if you hold a fixed position a lot during the day, maybe working, maybe doing a lot of work, a lot of lifting, that sort of thing, the muscles that are doing that action will start to tighten up. And as they tighten up, they'll start to pull the bones out of line. And that means that the joints, everything shifts slightly. And if your vertebrae are no longer stacked nicely one on top of the other, the strain that goes through them, as from your head down through your body, causes an uneven wear on the joints. So good posture and keeping things nicely aligned is really important for preventing things like arthritis, where you get uneven wear between the joint surfaces. And this can happen anywhere. You see it in the spine, you can also see it if you're out of line in your hips or your knees, your ankles, any of these major joints, your elbows, your wrists. So it's keeping this alignment, and the alignment is really affected by this tightness in the muscles. So what we're going to look at today is an understanding of where your posture should be, but also ways of releasing tightness in the upper body. And this goes also for the short films that I've made about stretching the other areas of muscles in your low back and around your hips and in the big muscles of the legs. So if all your muscles are working well, if they're in balance with each other, they don't pull on the joints and the bones, they don't overstretch the ligaments, and then things tend to stay in a better alignment and you feel more comfortable. Okay, so looking first at posture, I'm going to stand sideways. Very often what happens when we're sitting at our computers, we're lifting, carrying things, we're maybe sitting a little bit awkwardly on a chair, or we're walking along, we tend to end up in this rather slumped forwards posture. So a little bit exaggerated, but shoulders tend to slump forward. You can end up leaning forward a bit, you can end up leaning backwards a bit. And then to get your head, so your eyes are looking straight ahead, you have to slightly tip your chin up and you end up with this rather pointed chin. Now, if we look at this in sitting, this is classically, you know, what tends to happen when you're working at your computer. You sink down a bit, you're trying to peer at the screen, your chin goes forward, your upper back here becomes rounded, your core muscles turn off, your abdominals stop working because you're just slumped down. So the first thing that we need to look at with posture is how do we get into a better alignment. So coming back up into standing, you want to start with your feet really well rooted on the floor. I always start with the feet. So bring your mind into your feet. And then up into your knees, feel that weight going straight down through to your feet, really well supported on the ground. And then the next thing you're going to do is think about the very top of your head here. And you want to think that you have a string which is pulling you straight up towards the sky. And as you pull upwards, and you just drop your chin down a little bit, you'll feel that your core starts to engage here, your shoulders can drop, and your neck and your spine and everything can start to get longer. So looking at that in sideways, we're going from this rather slump posture where your shoulders forward from your knee, your hips might be, backside might be sticking out a little bit, or you might be going the other way. And now we're going to think about feet first, and then pulling up from the top of the head. And can you see as that happens, you end up with a nice alignment coming from your ear here, down through your shoulder, through the side of your hip, and all the way down the leg into the back of at the back of the foot, the heel. And it's literally just that connection between your feet and pulling up from the top of the head that allows the core muscles here to start tightening, to start working, and for your shoulders to drop down. And then your spine starts to function better, and you start to allow the muscles to relax rather than pulling things out of line. So the problem will be if things are always out of line, you're going to get aches and pains. You'll get uneven wear certainly on the joints, but you might get anything from a headache at the top of the neck here, with your chin pointing forward, you come right forward towards your forehead, pains across your shoulders. Similarly, could track down your arms. Similarly, you get aches and pains in your lower back. So getting these muscles into balance, loosened up, freely moving, is a really good way of self-treating, keeping everything healthy, stopping any wear and tear, stopping aches and pains. So coming into sitting, have a firmish chair that you can sit on. I'm going to turn a little bit this way so you can see what's happening. First of all, we need to find this midline with your pelvis moving. A lot of people think that sitting at their desk, they need to be really, really upright, like this. And this actually is not a great posture because it's tightening up everything into your low back here. So these muscles in your lower back tend to shorten and get tighter, and they lose then the flexibility in the vertebrae in your lower back. And then as you do that, you tend to turn off the core muscles, the abdominal muscles here, because your pelvis is tilted forwards and your belly is sort of sticking out. The other opposite extreme is this slump posture, where again the belly is just relaxed here and you're pushing down, and everything into here is getting tight and into the top of your neck, because as you pull your head up, you're crunching into the top of those vertebrae, and that's really not a great posture to be in. It will cause pain going up into your head and across your shoulders. So we need to find this midline. So if you sit up as tall as you can and slump right down, you'll get the feel of those two extents of the movement. And then I want you to come into the middle here. So you're not too upright, you're not slumped, you're into the middle. And as you do that, you can feel that your chin drops a little bit. It's not poking like it was, it drops down. Your shoulders can drop down a bit. And then you can just, with your chin, instead of having it poking forward, is just slide it back. So it's like a gliding movement. You're literally just, as you push on your chin, you're just gliding backwards. And as you glide back, you'll feel that pull coming into the top of your neck, because you're stretching those tight muscles at the top here. And you're releasing those tight vertebrae which get crunched together at the top. So just try that a few times, pushing your chin a little bit forward and then pulling it back. This is a really nice exercise to do little and often, perhaps every couple of hours when you're sitting at a computer doing a lot of work. And as you feel that, you'll also feel your core working here. Now, just to think about the core for a moment, a lot of people get in a muddle between the core and the big abdominals, and they're two different things. So on the outer layer here, you have the big abdominals, which are the ones that do a lot of work when you're trying to sit up, when you're lifting things, the heavy stuff. But inside of those, there is a thin layer of muscle, and that wraps around inside those big abdominals, around the front of your organs, and all the way around in front of your spine. And it's like, I always describe it like the cardboard tube in the middle of a loo roll. So the outer bit with the loo paper is like your squidgy, relaxed abdominals, possibly a bit of fat there too, and the inner tube is your core. Now, if all the time you're overworking your abdominals, the core muscles turn off. And it's these fine postural muscles that we really need to get activated, we need to make a connection with. So when you're feeling for whether your core muscles are working, you need to feel this slight squidginess of your abdominals being relaxed on the surface. But when you push in deeper, you'll feel that there's a firmness underneath, a ring of firm muscle underneath. And it's that which is your core. And it's those core muscles, and we'll look at also in your back here in a moment, some other small muscles, which maintain your posture. They should be working all the time. So it's really important that you can engage with those and you can recognise them and you can really feel those muscles. Okay. So obviously we can't keep a rigid posture to do things all the time. We don't want to be walking around in this very pulled up, tight here and trying to actually move and do things. And similarly, when you're sitting at your desk, you can't be rigidly holding your neck back. But during the day on and off, it's really important that you check every so often that you are in a good posture. So just stop what you're doing, feel your feet rooted onto the ground, feel your head pulling up, notice that your stomach muscles are pulling in from the inside, that's the core, is drawing everything and tightening things from the inside, and that your shoulders are dropped. And if you do that every so often, it stops these big muscles up in the shoulders here, the trapezius, the big abdominals, the big muscles around here and your backside and your legs from overworking, and it allows that freedom, that flexibility to happen around your spine, which is what you need to keep it aligned. So coming into working some of those bigger muscles, now that we know where our posture should be, we're just going to start with some nice big circles just to open up trapezius here. Just opening up. These are really easy exercises you can do sitting at a desk whilst you're moving around during the day, just nice and free and just getting things moving. And then you can do one shoulder and then the other shoulder and just circling round. And this is nice because you can take this all the way down into your feet, feel everything moving, big movements to really open up your arms. Very often we think we have to sit rather still, and actually moving and getting our joints and our muscles to move in these natural positions is a really good thing to do. And then just have a swing up and down with your arms. Nice just to feel some space, just let them go. And then across the front of your body. And as I say, just doing this little often just releases things. You can feel the front of your chest opening up. You can feel the back of your arms opening as you stretch forward and just going up and down. And then I always like to just join up with the lower body as well. So just a few nice big hip circles, because it's your hips and your shoulders which work really well together. You know, they need to be in balance. And it's really the spine that connects those two. So you always need to balance one with the other. You don't ever want to just focus on one area. We work as sort of functionally. Everything should be connected. So nice big circles, just keep changing direction. And then have another really good stretch just as far up as you possibly can. Really take up all that space. Right out to the side, open everything out. We don't do this very often. If you watch animals, they're much better at just getting up and just stretching. And you can do this in standing, you can do it in sitting. Really stretch right round. Feel things creaking and cracking a bit. Okay, so the next thing we're going to come on is looking at stretching your neck. And for your neck, we're going to go through just some really straight movements because that's what the neck likes. We very often don't take it to the full range of movement. We're just working within a limited range. And I have so many patients who come and see me who say to me they find it hard to turn their neck when they're reversing a car, that sort of thing. And it's just because over the years you just don't push it to the end of that range of movement, and therefore it seizes up. It becomes like a bit of rusty machinery. So we're just going to turn your head as far as you can to the right. And then we're going to turn to the left and just stretch into that. When you're doing stretching like this, do it at your own speed, push gently into it, give it a stretch, but don't force anything. And if you do it slowly, and a little bit each day, from day to day, you will find that you can go further. Now, these aren't really big muscles like there are in your legs, so we don't have to hold that stretch as long as we were doing before for the lower limbs, but you do need to really push into it. And you need to try to get to the end of that range. And it might be a little bit sore as you pull, but that will get easier over time. So next, you're going to take your ear down to your shoulder. So drop your left ear down to your left shoulder. Keep that shoulder down. Don't bring the shoulder up to the ear. Just drop it down. Feel that stretch. It can be quite sore all the way down here into the side of trapezius. Right up to your ear, down across the shoulder. And the same thing here. Just drop. Keep looking straight ahead. Don't turn your head to look down. Just keep looking straight on. Keep your shoulders nice and straight and just drop down, really stretch. And again, if you do this a little bit each day, you're going to find that that gets easier and easier and the soreness releases. And the other way. Good. And now I always like, when you've done some stretches, just to loosen up again into your shoulders, shake that tension out of your fingers. Just stand and see how you feel for a moment. You need to acknowledge change, I think, and give your body time to get used to that change. So the next thing we're going to do is just a straight looking down at the floor. Feel that stretch down in the back of your neck into your upper back. Go up as far as you can. And then you're just going to go straight up again. We're not going to go backwards. The neck doesn't like going into extension, just as it doesn't like that pointy chin you end up with, which compresses a bit those top few vertebrae. It really doesn't like when you go up and look up too far, because that again compresses the top vertebrae. So there are various practices that get you doing neck extension, but certainly from a physio and anatomical point of view, that's not a great idea. So that means when we're going to do a rotation with the neck from one side to the other, bringing in some flexion, we're just going to come from looking over the right shoulder, dropping your chin, and then coming up to the left. We're not going to circle all the way around, as they do, say, for example, in yoga. So I want to avoid that compression at the top of the neck. And again, just dropping back and coming down. So just doing that a couple of times. Stretching, pushing as far as you can, and round to the other side. Good. Have a bit of a circle again, have a really good stretch, and just feel how your upper body feels now. Does it feel a bit freer? And as I say, better to do these little and often, and just listen to your body whilst you're stretching. Don't push it too hard. Okay, I want to go on and look at a stretch now for the front of your body, because as I said, we often end up a bit crunched together here. So I want to look at a stretch that will open you up at the front. Now, there's two positions you can do this. If you have a bad back, just stay doing it in standing, because I don't like people, if you've got a back that gets worse with sitting a lot, or you have any sciatic pain coming down into one of your glutes here and down the back of the leg or the side of the leg, I don't want to take you into a forward bend, because it's not great for your back. But if your back is okay, you are going to come forward. So we're going to start with the hands behind the back. We're going to link them together like this. So you're going to put your thumbs together, hands open, okay? Behind your back. So get a good posture first. Feel your feet rooting, feel your head pulling up, your shoulders nice and relaxed. And then you're just going to link your hands behind your back. And if you're not bending forward, you're just going to take those arms right out behind you and really feel that stretch into the front of your shoulders. Keep them nice and upright. But if you are going to bend forward, engage your core first, so tilt your pelvis back a little bit, pull up from the top of your head, and then come forward with a straight back. Hold that back straight, push forward with the top of your body, keep your head in midline, and stretch right up behind your back with your arms. You feel that stretch up to the back of your leg, and also across the front shoulder. And as you work into that stretch, just lift your arms a little bit higher, just as high as you can go. And then slowly come back down and out of that. Put your hands on your lower back and just stretch backwards. Stretching backwards allows your back to come into a good position again. So bending forward is not great. Stretching back for your lower back is really good. Not good for the neck, but is good for the lower back. Okay, come forward again and just see how you feel. Balance everything out. We're going to come in and do some hip circles. Get everything connected. Very important to have everything connected all the time. It's good for the blood circulation, and it's good for your muscles because they all connect through different areas and they work together functionally as we're moving around and doing things during the day. Good. Stand for a moment and just observe how you're feeling. Do you feel a little bit looser in your shoulders? Do you feel a little bit more open? So now we're going to come into sitting. I'm just going to do a couple of bits for your upper back. So again, get yourself nice and comfortable on a firmish chair. And we're going to just try to open up your upper back, your thoracic spine. As we said during the day, it tends to end up in this rather curved posture. So it's nice just to open it up and back. And then we're going to do some rotation because the most rotation that you get through your spine is actually in this upper back. So we often don't use it enough, especially when we're sitting. So first you're just going to get your back over the back of the chair and using the back of the chair to push your vertebrae, your thoracic spine, upper back forward, and you just relax back. Don't take your head all the way back. Just take it to somewhere in the middle. Let your arms drop back and just relax. And allow the chair just to open things out for you. You can do this lying down on a foam roller, tennis ball, something like that. And just relax. And then come back forward again. Circle your shoulders. You might get a bit of a tick, which is good. If those clicks happen naturally, it's things just dropping back into line. So the next one we're going to do is a twist, and you're just going to again use the back of the chair and pull yourself around. Try and get your shoulder and your head and everything as far around as you can, but make sure you don't slip with your hips. Keep your backside even on the chair. And just hold that so you can really stretch into it. Another nice one to do whilst you're working. Easy to do, and we're going to hold it a little bit longer because these are big areas that need to open. And then round to the other way. Feel that stretch, take your neck round. If your upper back starts to move better, your neck will start to move as well, because the two are very closely connected and they have the same muscles that work with both of them. The big trapezius, the vata scapulae, the erector spinae muscles, which keep your spine straight. So they're all connected, and stretching them together is a really nice thing to do. And then what you may find is that you're looser in your upper back, but you've also got more movement, turning your head side to side, dropping your shoulders down. So again, we need to work to connect everything together. So again, have a stand up, have a bit of a move around, see how you feel. Give it all a bit of a shake out through your arms. Feel that tension going down out of your hands. And then the last one I want to show you for your upper back and your shoulders is this one, which is up against a wall. So you're going to position yourself. This is a really good strong stretch. You're going to position yourself with your heels against the wall, and then tilt your pelvis backwards so your low back is against the wall. Get your head against the wall and your shoulders, and then you take your arms out to 90 degrees at the shoulders and 90 degrees at the elbow. So right angles, and everything has to stay in connection with the wall. So if at the beginning you can't get your arms anywhere near the wall, that's what you've got to work towards to begin with. Don't go any higher until you can get into this starting position. And for many people, that's very difficult. You might be able to get your elbows in connection with the wall, in contact, but you might not be able to get the back of your hands. So just slowly work. And I can promise you, because when I first started doing this a few years ago, I was quite far off as well. my upper back had got very tight. So you can get there, and just pressing in, keeping your back pressed. And then for those that you can do it, you're going to slide up the wall with your hands. Keep everything in contact. Come up as high as you can. Keep that back pushing into the wall. Keep breathing. And coming down again. Good. And just try that once more. Up. Really stretch into it. And come down again. Good. And then come away from the wall. It's a really strong stretch to have a good loosen off. Do a little bit of swinging, let it relax. It's a really nice strong stretch to open up. And just stand for a moment, see how you feel. See that your shoulders are a little bit lower, I hope. Feel that your whole back can move better. And that there's movements in your neck. Feel a lot freer, a lot easier. Now we're just going to take a nice deep breath, because hopefully what we've done by opening up this upper back and the shoulders is to allow your rib cage to move better. So you're going to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when you take the breath in, you need to push your belly out. So it's filling up a balloon. Take it right down into this lower part of your belly. And one more. And just always do 3 deep breaths at a time, otherwise you can go a little bit lightheaded. Okay, so now we've done a lot of work on posture, keeping your feet rooted, pulling up from the top of the head, letting your shoulders drop and your chin drop so that your spine gets longer. Those muscles around it we've worked on to allow them to relax, so they're not pulling the spine so much out of line. And then I'm just going to show you 2 more things to do around your hands and your elbows, your wrists. Because this is often neglected. We think about these big muscles because those are the ones that often end up hurting. But you can also get pain of RSI coming down here into your forearms, especially when you're doing a lot of sitting at the computer. And I think just at the moment, a lot of the time, you might be sitting in a laptop, you probably haven't got a proper desk or a chair. It's very important to look at this posture and to do these stretches. So just first of all, we're looking at opening the wrist. So you're going to bring your elbows together and you're just going to circle round. Now it's always easier to circle in one direction than it is the other. So follow your thumb round and then change and come round the other way. So think about the thumb, which is leading. So going to swap direction and then go back the other way, get the other thumb to lead and feel that really nice and loose into your wrists. And then give those a good rub. Rub down your arms. Nice to do some massage. It's always nice to go for a massage. Trickier at the moment. So you can do some work on yourself. And just like I said, letting things, the tension go out. You can actually help your circulation. Get everything moving. Help the blood to move. Help the muscles to move. Just by doing a little bit of rubbing, connecting things together. And then the last stretch I'm just going to show you is just for your forearms. If you are getting pain from the elbow down into these muscles, like an RSI, tennis elbow sort of thing, you're going to just take your arm up a little bit in front of you, keep the shoulder down, hold that opposite hand and just stretch. And you will feel the stretch. Keep the elbow really straight. You'll feel the stretch coming across the back of your wrist and into your forearm if it's tight. Now if it isn't tight, don't worry, and just try that on the other side and just gently stretch out. But if you are getting pain into the forearm, this is worth doing perhaps every half an hour, 40 minutes, just breaking up what you're doing during the day. Good, okay, so one last good stretch before we finish. Bit of a swing from side to side. And these are all things that you can do very easily during the day. And what you'll notice is that day by day, week by week, your posture will change, and it's just bringing your awareness into how your posture is. Just occasionally as you work through the day, whether you're sitting or standing, that makes those changes. You don't want to hold it rigid all the time. You just need to check and engage with those muscles, engaging with the dropping the shoulders down, pulling your shoulder blades down towards the floor, and feeling the core coming in, feeling your feet rooted and your head pulling up towards the sky. And if you can work with those, and then some of these stretches, you don't have to do the whole half an hour, just little and often in the day, things do change, and it's a real help to stop you getting headaches, shoulder pains. This is the best way to self-treat.